Morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are in the world, welcome to Shutter Network. Today we've got an amazing show lined up for you. We're going to get away from our normal formula. We're going to talk a little bit to Mark Hamza. He's here from Flixel. We're going to talk to you about things you've never heard of before. It's this great new technology. But then we're going to take it a step further and we're going to go out in the field and actually produce one and teach you and show you how to actually produce one so that you can blow your clients away, you can add this to your portfolio, maybe even enhance your offering, right? So today it's all about marketing initiatives that you can use to make your business stand out from the crowd. Mark, welcome to the show.
Sal, pleasure to be here.
Always enjoy talking to you.
Likewise.
So the audience really, I talked about this a little bit at WPPI, and it sounds like everybody really responded well at WPPI, but for everyone else out there, what is a cinematograph?
So what is a cinematograph image? So basically a cinematograph is a hybrid between two traditional art forms, creating this really interesting hybrid, which we refer to as a Flixel or living photograph. So we combine still photography and we combine video and we fuse them together. So essentially what you get as a result is a still photograph with just a hint of motion, which is the video component, creating this kind of mesmerizing balance between motion and stillness.
I think the word you used, mesmerizing, is absolutely perfect because I first met you guys at Imaging in Phoenix, and I'll never forget, me and my team, we were walking down the aisle you guys were in, and on the TV screen you had this Flixel image, this cinematograph playing, and all of us stopped. We were totally mesmerized. We're like, what is that? I need to talk to that guy. I need to figure out how to get it into my business. What has the response been so far to just your offering, your pitch of it all?
It's been overwhelmingly positive. Ever since we released Cinematograph Pro for Mac, so for desktops, we've just seen a huge group of photographers, content creators, artists just totally embrace it. We've seen amazing content being created on our platform. The software in itself rose to #1 in 77 countries on the Mac App Store.
Congratulations,
Thank you so much.
That's awesome.
Thank you. So the reception has been overwhelmingly positive. And at the end of the day, what we're really trying to do is introduce a new visual language, a new visual medium, and incorporate that as part of an artist's, creative arsenal.
And I think that's going to lead to the next logical question is, now that we understand what a cinematograph is and we're going to show it on the screen, what is Flixel, and what problem is Flixel trying to solve?
So when we started, we were talking to a lot of content creators, the end user, and when we first discovered cinematograph images, which basically occurred somewhere around 2011, we stumbled upon these online.
Because it's not new, right? The technology of a cinematograph in and of itself is not new.
The actual medium has been around since 2011, so we were inspired by two brilliant New York photographers, Kevin Berg and Jamie Beck. If you check out Ann Street Studios or cinemagraphs.com, they basically were the first to kind of toy and meld photography and video together, creating this new art form. And they introduced it and launched it during New York's Fashion Week back in 2011. So everyone kind of flipped out. This is amazing. What is this? And the stuff kind of went viral. So when we saw this, our reaction was, this is fantastic. Here's a new visual medium. Here's a new way to express content in a way that's never been done before, but where's the technology to do it? Where's the ease of use? So
focus on that for a second.
Yeah.
I know over dinner we were talking about this. What was previously, before Flixel, how long would it take, and what were the tools required to produce one?
Absolutely. So prior to Cinematograph Pro being introduced, you would typically use either post-production software such as Final Cut or Photoshop. And these tools are brilliant, they're powerful, but the steps that are required to achieve your end result are enormous. 20, 25, 30 plus steps depending on which methods you decide to take. And this was a problem because for a lot of photography enthusiasts, a lot of hobbyists, it's a barrier.
Yeah, it's immediately not, I would say, knowing my audience, the average person, first of all, is not involved in video. They don't want to get engaged in video. And if they do film video, right, because they all have their Canons and their Nikons.
Correct.
If they do film video, they definitely don't even want to think about going into Final Cut Pro and cutting things out. And
import layer 1, layer 2, create a mask, render, see what's going on. You missed the spot.
Nightmare.
It's a nightmare. So a lot of people were saying, a lot of photographers in terms of feedback was, this is great. We love this medium. We want to jump on it, but it's so unintuitive from a creation, a workflow standpoint. So we said, okay, we got to fix this. We got to bring in a tool that is specifically designed for the creation of this kind of imagery. And so instead of coming to the table with a giant toolbox, we said, let's bring let's bring a specific tool needed to make this happen. That was a terrible analogy, so you're gonna have to cut that out. Yeah, we wanted to be very focused. And so one of the things that Flixel Cinemagraph Pro does very well is our live masking technology. So what this enables you to do is to actually reveal the motion within your still photograph in real time.
That is amazing, by the way, and I'm going to just pause you there, because that part of the technology, when I looked at it, I started thinking about, okay, how can I use this for my business, right? Now I'm going to put on, you're kind of the creator, the founder of the product, right. But from my perspective, I'm looking at it as, okay, here's another new technology.
Right.
Can I incorporate this into my business to make more money, to get more exposure and advertising and just awareness? But if it were going to be too complicated, it was something I didn't want anything to do with. And it is really, really easy.
Right, because as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, obviously, photography is a very competitive market, and you need to differentiate yourself. And I think incorporating living photography as part of your creative arsenal is a great differentiator. And especially using our technology, it's because we focus on ease of use and simplicity. It's basically a low cost time for a high profit margin. Whereas if you're using other tools, that starts to become a little more complicated.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking out loud, if I had to spend, or even anyone on my team or someone I'm paying 30 to 40 hours or whatever the time frame of investment was, not only to film, produce, but then get into the post-production aspect
right.
of it, it just becomes out of reach for the average, enthusiast or just starting up photographer. But yet, what I like about the Cinemagraph Pro is you've brought it to the desktop, because originally your roots were in the mobile version of it.
We initially started on mobile. We had delusions of grandeur, trying to be the next Instagram for living photography. So we sort of started on mobile, and then we decided, we want to take this to the professional sphere and offer a tool that is specifically designed, more refined, and offering content creators something that can, they can do high quality cinemagraphs.
And thank God you changed that, by the way, because when I saw the mobile version, I'm like, this is cool, but it's kind of gimmicky. And now with the Pro version, it becomes more practical, right? Because now I can take footage from my Canon, my Nikon, my Panasonic, and film that, and then of course bring it to my desktop and edit.
You know what? We basically built on the iOS tools, but refined them furthermore. So more details in your brush tools, your masking tools, your loops, your effects, and obviously we support high bitrate video, which is really huge. So this means what? HD. So 1080 video, you can import that, looks fantastic, and export consequently looks fantastic, and also Ultra HD, so 4K.
So this is not just an animated GIF file?
Not at all. You have the option of outputting a GIF if you so choose to, but the GIF is great, but the GIF has limitations in terms of quality. We're talking, it runs on 256 colors, varies 5 to 10 frames per second. Often you'll see dithering or banding, which is a problem, which are issues. If I'm shooting something and I light it well, and then I export a GIF and I want to see it in full aspect ratio 1080.
It's not going to look right. No, the only reason I asked that question is because I think a lot of people, when they first see it, because we did one for WPPI, we produced it, and with your help, obviously, and then people are looking at it and there's like, this is just an animated file. And I'm like, no, it's not an animated file.
It would not look that good.
No, it wouldn't look that good.
Right.
That's the key. What about, give me a little bit of the history of the company. How did this all, I know how it started. You saw someone else, produce one of these and you're like, we got to make it easier. But
right.
Where's the company at now? Where are you guys heading as far as a platform goes?
Well, right now we're focused on our creation tools. So Cinemagraph Pro for Mac has been very, very well, and we want to keep pushing that product and just showcasing the power of cinemagraph imagery, how this can be used as a new creative way to tell visual stories. That's one of our primary objectives. Secondly, we're going to be moving into offering distribution and hosting. So the other problem we're really solving is, we talked about quality, right? A lot of these initial cinemagraphs that were produced using traditional tools would come out as GIFs. So what we're doing is now you can upload a cinemagraph, a Flixel cinemagraph, onto Flixel.com, and it comes with an embed code. And you can take that embed code and thus implement your living photo into a website or a blog. We host it, high definition, it looks brilliant. So
That's
hosting
awesome.
is sort of the next phase of the business.
And there's no charge for that.
No charge for that. And then phase 2, phase 3, we're kind of moving into the advertising. So digital advertising is where we see the future of living photography. Again, advertisers and marketers are leveraging campaigns with still photography, video, and we feel living photography, this hybrid of the two, is now kind of a new visual language that they can utilize. And we've done some early tests comparing the productivity of a productivity / performance of a living photo versus a static banner ad.
Yeah, pause for 1 second.
Gotcha.
Don't zone out because we're talking about advertising. This is important to all of you. This metric he's about to share with you guys, I think, is just staggering.
Right.
And if after you hear this stat, you're not like, I need to incorporate this into my business, then I don't know what you guys are doing. So hit us with that stat, because that blows me away.
Right. So we compared basically the same creative. We created a basically banner ad. This was related to our product. We did a Flixel cinematograph image hosted with our embeddable player online, and we compared this to a static image. And the lift in click-through rate for the living photo was 5x, so almost 500%.
That's
incredible.
Was,
that was phenomenal. So,
and just to be clear, it was the same ad, same picture, same everything, except one was a living picture, one was a static
similar
ad.
to what we're going to do today in our creative. We're going to take an original image that you shot as a still, which is phenomenal, by the way, gorgeous.
Thank you.
And we're going to bring that to life. So we did the same thing, pushing one of our products. And yeah, the click-through rate was phenomenal. I mean, if we felt if we could move it 30-40%, that'd be phenomenal. So over 450% was a big deal. So it's it's that subtle stimulus in the image that just is so alluring. It doesn't overwhelm the user. It doesn't disrupt their browsing experience. Videos are great, but they tell a full-on story. It's a complete narrative. You got to press play. You got to commit your time. And it's, static images are almost kind of being dismissed
right.
online. People they don't see them anymore because they've been bombarded for years and years. So I think living photography introduces kind of a breath of fresh air into digital advertising and marketing.
Well, and it's funny, as I think about my business and how I want to implement this, I want to have this at bridal shows, right? So weddings are a big part of my business. Well, typically I'd have a TV like this in my booth, and I'd have a slideshow moving, and it gets people talking and engaging and looking at our imagery. But I want that wow factor.
Right.
And now I want to create that living image that is of a bride and groom maybe, and there's so many ideas going through my head. But now it's just playing that image, and they're going to sit there and they're going to stare at that, and they're going to talk about that, and they're going to remember our business because they're going to go, oh, you're that booth that had the, right? They won't know what it's called, and we've got to educate them, but they're going to know it's that thing. And step 2, what else can I do with this? I can embed this in my website. So now as guests come to our website, they're going to see this, and they're going to look at it and go, once again, be mesmerized. I think that's the right word by this. And then yet another way we can incorporate this is into video production. We do wedding videos for our clients. Well, what better way to open up a video, right, than with a living image? I think that would blow them away. So those are 3 simple ways.
Absolutely.
And I'm limited in my experience with the product, and I'm already excited about how I'm going to incorporate this into my business.
And we've been talking a lot about its applications in in digital advertising, but like you just mentioned, they have phenomenal applications in the offline world. You talked about digital displays. And there's a huge shift in photography with 4K coming into the game and now being very affordable and accessible. And we talk about 4K displays. How phenomenal would those look in 4K displays? But we've already seen them in high definition displays, and it becomes living art on your wall.
Yeah, that is incredible.
And what's amazing is you can create, you can emphasize a particular focal point within that image. Whatever it is that you want to convey or emphasize, or tell a story within a story. So I think when it's appropriate, it's a visual medium that is just very, very powerful. Yeah,
and I think for our industry, photographers, to start, because I think you're going in the right direction. I think advertisers, marketers, they're going to jump all over this,
right?
Because of the 5x, increase in just click-throughs, right? Because that's what it's all about for them. The thing becomes, will photographers adopt this technology? And I think it's going to get to a point where you're either a first mover, which I'm hoping we are, as we're early adopters of the technology, or you're going to sit there and get thumped over the head by studios like mine over and over again, and you're going to have to react. But by then, maybe it's too late. I don't think it's ever too late, because if this becomes an established medium, just like still photography or video, people are going to use it when appropriate, and I think they're going to continue to push
the creative possibilities as they continue to explore,
Sure.
Explore the medium. And we've already had brands, very established brands like Macy's, the estate of Marilyn Monroe. We've had Tyra Banks, America's Next Top Model, who've all leveraged this technology, for their purposes. So it's starting to seep into the mainstream. And I think one of the reasons why there was a certain, barrier was, as we discussed, you talk about ease of use, tools that are simple and accessible to all, which is, one thing we're solving. And the other piece is output, high quality output, which again, we're offering, 1080, Ultra HD output, 4K, and then hosting, online distribution. And those are all things that are changing. And offline digital displays. Now, a couple of years ago, people still had SD screens.
Right.
It doesn't serve the art form all that well. But now with, high HD and now with 4K.
Yeah, the 4K.
It's very conducive for
4K is an interesting shift in the market. We have these debates internally all the time. We're like, because, I just think about like,
what are your thoughts on 4K?
Betamax. It's gorgeous, right? But are my clients, up until 6 months ago, I was still having clients come back to me and go, we don't have a Blu-ray player. And so we were filming full HD for them, and then they want me to deliver it in 720. So you can watch it on basically what's it's widescreen, but it's still standard definition.
Right.
Why? Right? Go buy a $49 HD HD Blu-ray player. So 4K is very, very appealing to me from a capture perspective, right? Because if you're editing still frames, 1080, I'm editing basically a 1 meg file.
Now you're at 8 megapixels. I mean, that's looking really, really good.
And that part of it really, really excites me. But it's going to come, for me anyway, it's going to come down to, will the TVs get there? If the TVs get there from 4K, players and 4K TVs, yeah. And so I'm hoping it is, because then I want to jump all over it.
But for living photography, I think it's fantastic, because even if you output in 1080, the fact that you capture the source at the highest resolution possible, and then even if you convert down to 1080, it makes a huge difference.
100% agree.
And you have a lot more information in that still frame that you extract and retouch. So your retouch is not as soft, and it just looks
garbage in, garbage out, right? So
absolutely.
At a minimum, I want to make the move to 4K so that we're capturing a higher quality. And the cost of 4K cameras is, Panasonic. What is that?
GH4.
$1,600, $1,800, something like that.
It's going to be around that price point, and we've had a chance to kind of play around with it a little bit, and we're very excited.
Yeah, that is exciting. Speaking of just cameras and technologies, let's talk a little bit about what is the right camera to use, because you and I went back and forth on this, to make a cinematograph.
I mean, any camera is as long as you're able to capture, high quality, high resolution video, any camera will do. I mean, we always recommend to shoot at least, high definition, so 1080 is the minimum. If you can get your hands on a 4K camera, I mean, obviously we've worked with everything from, a Panasonic GH3, we've started to turn on with the GH4, we've done stuff with the Canon 5D. We've even shot with the Red Epic, which that was a great camera. Be incredible. Yeah. And we've also used the Canon 1DC on America's Next Top Model. Actually, we shot with the 1DC, which was also a lot of fun. But any camera that you're able to capture high quality video, you're good to go. That's your starting point. Yeah.
And so, but something you had said to me early on when we were doing this is we really wanted to capture it at 60 frames per second, so that when we drop it into the timeline, the slow motion of whatever we're showing is clear.
I mean, now we're kind of into the aesthetic sort of how do you want it to look. I like the idea of the slow motion piece. So shooting at a higher frame rate, 60 frames or 120 frames, it enables you to have that kind of like slow motion effect, and I think that looks very beautiful in your end result. So then when you kind of play with your speed motion in post, if you're shooting at 24 or 30. Then you get into a little kind of choppiness, which you really want to avoid, because the movement you just lose that fluidity, right? Which you want to avoid. So ideally, yes, if you can shoot 60 frames or even 120 without compromising your resolution, because certain cameras, the minute you up it to 60 frames, you drop to 720.
That is why I like the GH3.
The GH3 you actually stay at HD, which is great.
Full HD, 60 frames per second, and the price point of the camera was like $1,200 or less.
Right. Well, it's coming out in May or
the GH4.
The GH4, yeah. The GH4 is coming. Yes, the 4K and the GH3 we've been using, and it's
will the GH4 be full resolution as well at 60 frames per second?
I know. I believe at 4K. It's 4K at 30 frames. If you go up to 60, I believe there's a small adjustment. It may go down to 2 or 2.5, which is still
higher than 1080.
Still really, really great.
Nice.
But don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I understand. You're not a Panasonic rep. So a couple more questions. Let's talk today about or let's talk a little bit about today's concept shoot. And
Right.
I'm going to give my thoughts on it, and then I want to know what you're thinking. So we created this, and we're going to put it up on the screen. We created this amazing image of Taylor. If you were at WPPI, you saw it. She's in a red dress, red chiffon, this beautiful motion to the image. However, it's a static image, and that image I think it's beautiful.
It's great.
I'm biased. It's my wife.
I loved it.
But it's static in a sense, right? The whole point of that image was to show motion and fluidity.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's like, it's frozen in time.
Yeah.
And now today what we're going to do is we're going to bring that image to life. And we're going to try two different things, guys. What we're going to try is one, we're going to do your typical cinematograph, we'll say. But then what we want to do is film it vertically and try and embed that in the cover of the next Shutter magazine, so that when you get to Shutter magazine, it automatically plays that image. So that's a little bit of an experiment for us, but we're going to push ourselves a little bit because we're trying to figure out how to adopt
totally
the technology.
And I think, and we're going to showcase, your audience how easy it is to actually achieve this. We're going to go through the steps, and then we're going to go from everything from the capture process to the post-production process, and show really how easy and how accessible this is. And I really want people to understand, and photographers specifically, that this is a great way to add a new product offering to their creative arsenal, a new product to offer to their clientele. Again, we talked about differentiating yourself. It's a competitive market, and Flixel makes this process easy, intuitive, and accessible.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. I think it is, if we shift the conversation, being an entrepreneur, we had a really great discussion last night about just being an entrepreneur. And one of the traits of being a successful entrepreneur is just the ability to pivot, move, change with market conditions.
Correct.
And the one thing I've seen our industry go through in the last 10, 15 years is you've got this old guard, new guard mentality, right? And it's not unique to our industry, it's every industry. You go through that, right? Those new kids, they don't know what they're talking about with their Twitters and their Facebook. But now you can't ignore it. You can't, from a social media perspective, you can't ignore it. I really do believe in my heart that cinemagraphs, Flixel are going to be quickly that technology you can't ignore anymore, right? It's a shift. And anytime there's a disruptor, that's probably a better word for it, anytime there's a disruptor, you either adapt to that disruption, right, and you incorporate it and you find a way to make money off it, or you just keep pointing your finger at it and saying how it won't work, and the next thing you know, you're out of business because your clients want something you can't deliver.
Absolutely, and sometimes I get this asked all the time. Well, is our cinematograph images taking over photography and all this kind of stuff? And obviously not. It's a third segment. Right. It's a third medium. It's a new visual language, and when it's appropriate, when the story lends itself well to leverage this medium, we'll go for it, do it, and do it well, and push the boundaries, push the limits, and we're trying to make this just more accessible to content creators.
And I do agree with you, because I get asked all the time, they're like, well, what's the future of photography? Where do you see photography, in the next 5 or 10 years? Because now everybody's got an iPhone, everybody's a photographer.
Everyone's a photographer, right?
Everybody's got a DSLR. My thought process there is, in 5 to 10 years, I don't see us as being professional photographers. I see us as being creative directors of the day, right?
And you choose your tools, you choose your medium.
Tools, yeah.
Right.
So what's the right tool for the job? Maybe it is a cinematograph, maybe it is some fusion piece, maybe it is photography, still photography, but maybe it's all of the above.
And because the tools are becoming more accessible across the board, like you said, you have to become almost a curator of what you use and when. And you're expected, I think, now as an artist to be well-versed in photography, in still photography, in video.
Yes.
I mean, we work with a lot of cats that come to the table and they're like, I can offer video, I can offer still photography. They're not just limited to one particular art form. And I think now the third piece that's starting to establish itself is living photography. So you're going to go see clients, they'll say, well, I want all three.
Right.
Can you offer me a package that includes all three mediums?
Right.
And as you said, as more of an artistic director or content creator, you'll have to be very well versed because the tools are there. It's easy to create.
And that's what it's all about.
It's easy to produce, right?
Well, I'm excited. The next segment, we're going to go off and we're going to produce this one of Taylor. So guys, don't go away. And what I need you to do now is get social. So what I want you to do is go out there and tweet at Sal Sincata or BT Shutter on Facebook. What was your aha moment during this discussion? What are your next steps? And what we do is we've got a great prize for you. So next week, we're going to announce the winner. You're going to get Cinemagraph Pro for your desktop. And there's going to be no more excuses. You've already got the video capabilities in most of your cameras. Now you can get out there and actually do it and follow along, because the next two segments, We're going to show you how to actually create this moment, and then of course how we do it in post-production using Cinemagraph Pro. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
This episode sponsored by Evolve, your source for unlimited color correction. Outsource your post-production and get back to what matters most, life. Visit evolveedits.com for more info.
All right, welcome back everybody. I'm here with Mark. We are now in our actual studio and we are going to create our first Cinemagraph, our first Flixel. We've got, the whole premise of this was to take a still image I created of Taylor in her red outfit and bring it to life. And that's
Correct.
what we're going to do here today. So let me give you guys some specs on what we're doing. So in order to film this, we're using the Panasonic GH3s. We're at ISO 400. I have a Canon adapter, so I'm using my Canon 35mm lens in order to create the Flixel of Taylor. No video light in here. We're using all natural light, even
Existing
right here.
light.
Existing light. So we wanted to show you how easy it was because we could bring in video light.
And we don't use strobes for
No
wedding
strobes, of
photography,
course.
Right.
It's just like producing an actual video. It's a very cloudy day outside, so we're not getting a whole bunch of like just natural light flooding in here. And the reason I'm trying to create it this way is so that you guys understand how easy this really is to set up and produce. That being said, here's the premise of the shoot, right? Taylor's wearing a red dress. She's on a charcoal gray backdrop, and we've got red chiffon that we're using. In addition, we've got some fans, some box fans that are set up. Just to give the chiffon some natural motion. That is the part of this Flixel that will be in motion. Not Taylor, not her hair, just the chiffon.
Correct.
What are some things we got to look out for? We've been practicing
to
make sure this
it's
went
getting
smooth.
there. It's looking great.
Yeah. So from an audience perspective, what are some of the things we got to look out for?
I mean, so as you said, we're shooting video, right? So we're shooting HD video. First thing, you want to be on a tripod always. So stability is really key from a capture perspective. From the model's perspective, Taylor has to be very, very still because we have to consider foreground and background issues. So in the background, we got the chiffon flowing. So obviously, we want her to be still. So if she starts to move, then the frames start to break up, and we start to get into a lot of messy issues.
And in essence, if she's
side.
moving, she's actually, when we get it into post-production, she's sliding in and out of different layers.
Correct. So we want her to be super still. So when we unveil the chiffon which is around her, we want her contour to be perfectly still, and that's avoiding tricky situations.
Yeah. And so let's expand on that a little bit. When you're creating a Flixel,
Correct.
what should you try and put into motion? Is there a concept of too much motion? Should everything be in motion? What things should they be looking for?
I think it all depends on what you're looking at to emphasize. Here, she's got this beautiful red dress on. She's got this great chiffon. When we looked at your still photograph, it's so beautiful. You almost wanted to see that come to life. You knew when you captured that shot, it was billowing. Right. So now with Flixel, we can actually bring that to life and emphasize, the couture and the fabric. So if this was, a fashion shoot, we're emphasizing this a designer or whatever. This becomes really interesting to emphasize the attire and the wear and all that kind of stuff. But I love subtlety. That kind of subtle motion that kind of brings the image to life, and you're kind of
eyes blinking.
Right. So the end user sort of asks themselves, am I looking at a photo? Is it a video? And they're kind of drawn in, and thus they engage with the content.
And that's the entire point, isn't it?
Absolutely.
All right. So I'm excited. What we're going to do now is we're going to just start doing this in real time. And what I want you guys to pay attention to is one, how I'm directing my staff, how I'm directing Taylor, who's the model in this particular case. And then the dialogue between Mark and myself. So we did, just to give you fair warning, we did practice a little on what we were trying to accomplish with the chiffon before we started rolling, right? Because we don't want to waste 2 hours trying to get the chiffon to look just right. So we did practice a little bit, but what you're going to see is some real-time discussion happening so that we nail this and get, of course, the final product, which you will see afterwards. You'll see how we edit it in post-production using Cinemagraph Pro. So that being said, let's get going. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Taylor in focus. Okay. And we are rolling on this camera, girls. Lauren, you'll probably have a better angle over here. Yeah. All right, so girls, let's get it going. And remember, now Mark, how much time do we typically want to have
You know, I like to go with segments of video, like little bursts of 10 to 15 seconds, you know, because then you don't want to be going through, 20 minutes of video trying to find
that 10 seconds.
Right, that 10 seconds. So little bursts is sort of the idea.
Okay, so girls, let's keep our hands moving. Remember, we need a 10-second count. Shaking that camera. Okay, so let's keep it going, girls. Let's. Lisa, you feeling comfortable getting that moving? Oh, it's my hand. Okay, sorry. All right, here we go. We're going to start a countdown in 3. Taylor, get ready. Expression, you got to sell us on it. You got it, girl? All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, go. Give us some billowing. Make it move. Crystal, more movement from you, up and down. So I like what that's doing.
Yeah, that's nice. As you know, we're trying to be as graceful as possible and as fluid with the movement.
Crystal, yours is collapsing on the left side. More towards Taylor. That's collapsing. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you know what I mean by collapsing? Okay. There we go.
And the other, I think, sort of challenge in doing living photography from the model's perspective is obviously, they're used to that rhythm of the strobe and the flash
pop,
and pop,
and they're done.
And in this case, they have to be so still yet still emote.
Let's cut.
So that's sort of, I think, the other thing we need to always be considerate of.
Not the main cameras, of course. Okay, so I'm just trying to give you a break so you can give your emotion. So just some feedback from what Mark and I are seeing. What's happening over here, Crystal, is you see what it's coming to this. So you've got to either pull it a little bit.
Should I be closer in or should I be further away? So look how close I get to the first.
Oh, to this part of the frame. All right, so let's move this in a little. Our ghetto fan. Got it?
This is how we do it.
Yes. So you see what's happening? So now that's better.
This is how. No, don't.
These are full rolls, dude. You're on. We're not cutting that out.
You're cutting this out.
No. All right. Hold on.
This will be a 30-second tutorial. That's getting a lot better.
Yeah, this is getting a lot better.
I love the expression.
All right, Taylor. So here we go. We're going to roll on.
That's the biggest challenge. You got to keep emoting for 10 seconds. I know you're very still. But unfortunately we decided to choose a concept where the motion is literally right around you. Yeah. So you have to be as still as possible, but you got to shine that expression through.
And I will highlight for everybody watching back home, the camera is set up at 60 frames per second. And so that's correct. Important that you understand. We did it at 60 frames per second so that we can slow the chiffon down in post-production and it looks smooth.
Right, it gives it that nice slow motion effect when we play with the speed motion post.
Perfect. All right, let's keep going. So girls, we've been rolling here. Taylor, let's get you set up. Bring that right hand up a little bit, Taylor, so it's not getting cut out of frame. Higher, higher. There you go, good. Love that body, chin out. Give me that expression. You're happy to be here. You love modeling. All right, there we go. Girls, here we go in 3. Crystal, you see what's happening there?
Can she have that? Can she have her left hand or screen right a little closer to her body?
Can you bring your left hand in more? There you go. Elbow?
Actually, even see that elbow, see that space? If we can reduce that
Collapse
space.
that elbow. There you go.
Yeah, that's great.
Is that better?
Yeah,
so that's from a post-production perspective.
Absolutely, because then you're going to have to go and sort of animate that part of the chiffon that's, again, in the background. And we talked about that foreground, background kind of issue. If she even moves in the slightest bit, we get into a little trouble. So this way, we just alleviate that issue.
Expression, here we go. You girls are doing great. Here we go in 3, 2. Alyssa, yours is not, there you go. Keep it moving. Remember, finesse it.
Can we bring it up a little higher, please?
Higher and then down, right?
Yeah.
Higher and then down, higher and then down. Keep massaging it. Softer.
Try not to twist it too much. Keep it even and just elevate. Go up.
Up and down together. Slowly, slowly. There you go, Crystal.
That's better. That's a lot better. That's nice. That's very nice.
That is nice.
Crystal, that we got some nice moments there.
That's good, because we were going to fire Crystal, and then she's finally getting it. So
she's still working on her master's in
She's still working
fanning.
on her master's in chiffon, finessing.
And billowing.
CF. She's got her degree in massage the fabric. Okay, let's give Taylor a break here, because she was laughing at us. She's not...
I don't know if you're talking.
Bad model, Taylor, bad model.
I mean, and that's the other thing we got to consider. So in the post-production process, when we're in the trim part, which is where we're going to start editing the video and finding our key sequence, we're going to have to establish what our first still frame is. And that's the frame of the footage, and that's the frame we're going to extract and retouch. So again, if Taylor's smiling too much and this kind of stuff, the musculature starts to move around. Again, how do you retouch?
When we cut that out.
Right, because you're not going to go and retouch, 30-some, 60 frames of video. So we got to make sure that everything is really nice and tacked and we like the shot.
And I want to make sure you guys realize what we're talking about, and you'll see it visually in the next segment. What'll end up happening here is the motion part of this is going to be the chiffon moving. Then we're going to grab one frame of Taylor, a still frame, and then we're going to edit that. We're going to do a beauty edit on it, clean up any skin imperfections, enhance her eyes, enhance the coloring, enhance her hair, whatever you would normally do. So there's this mix of both going on, and it's important to understand that. This is why the 4K proposition is so exciting, because now instead of dealing with a 1080 1 meg frame, I'm now dealing with an 8 meg or 4 to 8 meg size file. Yeah.
A lot more information in the file.
Exactly. So let's keep going with this. We're close, girls. Let's do this. We're making it look too easy. Everybody at home is going to be wanting to make their own Flixel. I just want you a little sassy look. Let me see it.
Give us a sass and make sure your arms are kind of tucked in a little bit. Yeah.
Yes.
That's great.
All right, so I'm going to start rolling.
A little more on screen right, so your left arm. Tuck it in a little bit.
Square up your shoulders to us.
Like right here, you see here, this is what we want to. Yep, that works. Pinch. That's a good way of saying it.
And let us I would say film as Mark and I are talking through this. All right, so we're going to start rolling here. Alyssa, watch your right hand. It's peeking into frame. All right, we're rolling on this camera. Taylor, get me your expression.
If you can even get it a little higher.
Higher?
Yeah, get it a little higher. Stretch those arms.
There you go, Crystal. That looks good.
Okay.
Keep that right hand moving, Alyssa.
That's nice. That's starting to get nice.
Your right hand keeps sneaking in frame.
That's starting to get good.
There you go. All right, here we go. Taylor.
And somehow we got to watch out right here. It kind of collapses.
Okay. So
You know what? Sal, we don't have any string, do we?
No.
Got a little string. What we do is we take this and we'd open it up a little bit so it wouldn't collapse as much.
Do we have any, didn't we have fishing wire?
Fishing wire downstairs.
Let's get the fishing wire. Yeah, let's do it. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a break. Mark had a really good idea. We're having trouble with the chiffon, and you've been seeing the frame. It's just not looking exactly the way we want. And the one thing I want you to understand, you might be thinking to yourself, what's the big deal? They're just producing this. It looks good enough. What we're trying to do is, just like in photography, there's certain things you want to pay attention to when it comes to details. And when it comes to making your own Flixel, these are the little things that are going to make the biggest impact.
Absolutely.
So what was your idea here? Because we weren't getting the chiffon to look right.
Right, so there's a part of the fabric that was just sort of collapsing when it was coming down. So what we're thinking of doing is incorporating a little wire, a little string, so we can have a little more length and pull that up. So to giving it more of that billowing effect and that natural sort of fluidity that we're looking for.
Now, is that going to be something we have to edit in post, or we're going to do it?
I think we're trying to do it in such a way where it doesn't come off on camera.
Perfect.
So we kind of get away with it, but I think this will give us just a little more length and a little more pull.
Perfect. And that's what we're trying to do. So we're trying to keep that chiffon as big as possible on camera so that it gives us the look and feel that we're going for. Yeah.
Look at that.
All right, I'm going to let you own this, Mark. All right. Putting Mark to work.
All right, let's see how this all turns out.
Okay.
All right, Lauren, you want to come over here?
You only need to go on one side?
Yeah, your side seems to be staying wider. You're twisted. Yeah, your right hand, Alyssa, keeps coming forward.
Stand?
You mean tying it here?
There you go.
We don't want it to look.
Alyssa's is looking good. All right, here we go. We're rolling. Taylor, give us expression. Alyssa, what's happening is the bottom of yours is creeping in. And guys, massage it up and down. Alyssa, move those hands.
It's trying to be in sync.
There we
Here
go.
we go.
That's looking
In sync,
good.
Crystal.
Get higher,
Here we
girl.
go.
Your massage.
How's it looking, Sal, on the
it's
left?
looking good. Crystal, your left hand's got to go higher.
Are we feeling a bit too much of a tug here or not?
No, now this is looking great. And Crystal, you're just collapsing on me. Don't let it collapse.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
There we go.
Oh, shit, hold on a second.
Oh, sorry.
It's been a while since I've.
Probably hit record on this one.
Now it's out.
No, not on that one. Here we go. These guys have stopped. We ready? Here we go in 3, 2, Taylor. Looking too stiff, Taylor. Relax that right hand a little bit. There you go, there you go. Here we go in 3, 2, motion on Team Mark. It's just sitting there, poofy. There we go. There we go.
We need more power, Captain.
Perfect. This is looking great, guys. Again, you're getting too flat, you two.
Awesome.
There it is,
Us
there
here?
it is, there it is, Mark.
Alyssa, what's the secret? You got this down.
Alyssa is the queen
Well, I
of
think
this.
she's got a good fan. That's.
All right, let's stop, but keep going. Taylor, I'm going to give you a chance to reset your expression. You all right? You're doing good.
I think you can also direct, like in terms, like just like a shoot, like all right, action,
Yeah.
and then cut. That's a good way of.
You ready?
All right. Are we at full power on this thing?
That's it. That's
Yep.
full power.
Okay.
All right, here we go. We ready? Taylor, bring your chin. I don't like what's happening with that right arm and shoulder. It just looks too weird. There you go. There you go. Drop it a little bit. You got
You know what? Give
it
it
looks
some
like
more
this.
like
You
that.
look like this.
Don't push it too much.
Okay?
Don't tug it too
Yeah.
much.
There we go. There we go. Open up your shoulders to me. Gorgeous. I don't like what's happening here. You just feel too crammed up. I know, but you don't look right. So I'd rather you look right. There you go. There you go. Chin out, down. All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, action. Let's go. Let's get some motion. Beautiful. Left side. I need some massaging, Mark. There you go. There you go. 5 more seconds. Oh, this is looking great, guys. There we go. 3 more seconds. Cut. That was really good.
I think something like this makes a lot of sense. You kind of stretch.
I don't know
it
if it's a
out.
wrap. I want Mark to look at it. I think it looked really good. So Mark,
Thank you
let's
so
review
much.
this one. I think that's looking
She
good.
is still as a mountain.
Dude, she doesn't move. She's a pro.
She's a living photography model. Yeah, I think that's way better. I think the us having added kind of the wire components, stretching out,
Yeah, and I
a little
think
bit,
when
it's
you,
giving a
when
lot
you
more
slow that
fluidity.
down at the 60 frames
It's going
per
to look
second.
very dramatic.
Yes.
And I think that's the intent of the shot.
Yeah, and then we can, because then we can edit the video clip as well to give it a little more drama, darken the blacks and things like that.
Absolutely.
correct?
So what we're going to do is once you apply your color treatment and your correction, blemishes, all that kind of stuff to
the
the
still.
you're going to want to match that on the video side.
Yes.
Right. So to make sure we have that consistency in terms of color. Otherwise, it's just going to be too much of a contrast. Right?
Perfect, perfect. All right, everybody, so that is this segment, and once again, I hope you've looked at this and you think, I want to get out there, I want to do it. The most challenging part was not setting up the video cameras, not setting up the lighting, it was working the chiffon, and Mark and I agreed we're going to do another segment at some point. We'll fly you back in and we'll teach you how to work chiffon, because it's not easy.
And it all depends on your creative.
Yeah.
It's that's what it comes down to.
Clearly, it's all about having fun here and making something together. It's definitely been a team project. So
Right.
what I need you to do now is I need you to get social. So I need you to get out there, hashtag Shutter Network, @Sal Sincata, or on Facebook, BT Shutter. Get out there and tell us what your aha moment was here, and it's probably going to have something to do with chiffon. And the winner is going to get a free
Totally. Hashtag Flixel.
Hashtag
Let's
Flixel.
hashtag
All right,
Flixel.
let's get social
right?
for Flixel.
Let's do it.
And the winner's going to get Cinemagraph Pro
For Mac.
for Mac, which
Yep.
is the software that now that you've got this, we can bring it all together. So
Absolutely.
don't go away. When we come back, we are going to show you how in post-production, how easy it is to turn what we captured here on our camera and turn it into a true living image, a Flixel.
Living photograph.
Living photograph. Let's do it. All right, don't go away. We'll be right back.
This segment brought to you by Bay Photo. Quality, service, innovation.
Hey everyone, Sal Sincata here, and I am excited to tell you about this amazing opportunity brought to you by Bay Photo. How would you like to win a free seat at one of my hands-on workshops? Well, Bay Photo is making it easy. They're hosting a workshop in California on June 9th, and they're going to give you an opportunity to win a free seat. Entering to win couldn't be easier. For every metal print you buy between now and June 6th, using the code SALBAY, you got to use the code SALBAY in order to enter, you will get a free entry into the raffle to win that free seat. The workshop is going to be absolutely amazing. It's going to be a shooting workshop, hands-on. We're going to talk about posing and lighting, and it's going to be at their facility in California. So if this is something you want to be part of, winning that free seat, be sure to order a metal print between now and June 6th and use the code SALBAY for your chance to win that free seat. I look forward to seeing you there. Hey everyone, welcome back. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to look at that video that we captured, and we're going to import that into Flixel Cinemagraph Pro. And what you're seeing here is this ghost-like effect, and the reason that's happening is that's the part that's moving. And so what the application is going to allow you to do is see the moving part of the image, and then on the bottom what you're noticing here is we can actually adjust the trim size, because what we want to do is grab a part of this image where your model has limited motion, right? The part that we're trying to keep still is tailor in this, and that's the part we're looking for, that good clip, maybe 5 to 10 seconds of motion that we can actually just use as the core part of the cinemagraph. So what we're doing right now is we're actually looking for a freeze frame here that we can export as a still image and edit, right? We're going to do beauty edit. So we're going to edit tailor skin, contrast, and we're going to export that out. We're going to edit that in Photoshop or whatever tool you feel comfortable with, and then we're going to import that back in, and that's going to be the freeze frame, if you will, of the cinemagraph. So there's going to be a part of the image that's completely frozen and a part of the image that has that motion. Well, the part that's frozen, we want to be perfect. So we want Taylor's skin to be perfect, hair, eyes, all the beauty edits to be done. So obviously I went ahead and did this. We're going to import it back in now, and now you're seeing that edited still image that's being overlaid. And now what we're going to do is add the masking. The live masking, in my opinion, is the part of the tool that is absolutely unique and the most powerful. And it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's something that's 100% unique to this product. So you could go try and do this in After Effects. You can try and do this in a host of other tools. It's just going to take you hours upon hours to get done what you're seeing happen right now. This is something that takes literally minutes to sit here and mask out. So what we're looking to do here is just mask out all the, right? And it's the same concept as in Photoshop. You can paint in, you can paint out, you can extend the size of the brush, make it bigger, make it smaller. What we want to do is show, reveal the parts that are in motion, and then freeze the parts that we don't want to have motion. And that's going to be that still image of Taylor. And so what we're doing here is we went with a smaller brush, and we're getting in on the detail, and we're going to paint in, paint out, and really try to remove any ghosting or any of those, just artifacts there that don't lend it to the image. And really where you want to pay attention here is around the shoulders, the hair, top of the head, fingers. You see a spot there in between Taylor's arms. We have to get that as well. And this is where you can adjust the hardness of the brush and the size of the brush, and of course the opacity. The opacity isn't really in play here because it's either on or off for this particular image. And here you're seeing as we zoom in, and you have to play it by ear. If you look closely, you can actually see the movement of Taylor. So she does move just a little. You can see that on her left arm. It's very, very subtle. And on the top of her head here, you're going to see a little movement as well. So we've got to paint that back in to freeze that part of the image. And if you're familiar with Photoshop at all, it's very similar in this whole concept of just brushing it in, paint out. This, in my opinion, is one of the hardest parts of working as a cinemagraph. It's just paying attention to the detail. So this can be fixed in the actual capture. So that's where you want to pay attention to this, right? So make sure you don't have stray hairs. Make sure you don't have any of these, outlying things, motion. Look at Taylor's fingers here. you really want to try and get a model who's completely still. You want to make sure that your motion is clear on what's going to be in motion, what's not going to be in motion, and that there's this layer of separation so that when you get to this part of the process, it's easier to mask in and mask out those parts of the images that should and should not have motion. And once you do this for the first time, it'll become much, much easier as you do it again and again, right? Because the first time you're capturing, you really don't have any concept of what you're trying to do. And here you can see that motion will go on and off. The next option you have to select here is your type of motion. So do you want to do a bounce or do you want to do a repeat, right? So the repeat is going to start from the beginning, and each image is different. There's no right or wrong answer here. Whereas the bounce is just going to hit the end of the loop and then come back. And then we can control the speed and, of course, the delay. And this is why we were filming at 60 frames per second, because we want all that detail there to find that right speed. So for this particular image, bounce works well. That makes it look a lot more believable than an actual loop. And then, of course, you can come in here and control adjustments of your overall video, right? So you can adjust exposure, contrast, brightness, and that's affecting the video, the part that hasn't been edited in Photoshop, right? So it's the part that's been exposed there. And you can put a vignette. And so this is totally up to you on how you do this. My best advice I can give you is make sure that you, at the point of capture, you're as close to having it look the way you want as possible. Also built into the tool are photo effects. So this applies to the entire image, not only the still that you edited, but the actual video piece. And this is nice to give it a different effect. You don't have to go into Photoshop. You can do almost everything you want in here. The workflow is totally up to you, but the power of the tool is there. So you've got all these kind of cool effects. But you know, with images like this, I find that less is more. Let the image speak for itself. You know, of course, you want to do some contrast and exposure and you know, color correction to get it right, but your best bet when creating a Flixel is to do this all up front while you're at capture. Next option is we want to export this. So we can export this into Apple ProRes if we're going to do more editing on it, or to H.264, which is perfect for web. And if you're just going to export a video, the key is you don't want the video to play once. You want the video to have the ability to give it that loop appeal, right? So this is if you're just embedding it in your website as a video. So you can control how many loops. Here we're going to export it and we're going to have it loop 10 times. And it'll make sense depending on your usage, where you plan on using this, which is the right method to choose. The other option you also have, once this is rendered out, you can also upload this to Flixel's actual site. And the reason you're going to want to upload it to Flixel's site is simple. This is going to give you the ability to use their embedded player and have it loop automatically. That's the appeal of their player, is that it will loop for you, right, unlimited amounts of time. So you don't have to put 100 times or, you know, 20 times. You just let it play in their player, and then you can embed that player once it uploads to Flixel on your website. You can share on social media, Twitter and Facebook. And so really they've built everything into this tool that you could possibly need to make this as easy as possible. And I'm hoping as you're seeing this and watching this happen in somewhat near real time, you're realizing how easy this is to produce. And really, you're limited only to your imagination and how you use this. The key to, in my opinion, in creating a cinematograph is really looking for a way to create that buzz for your business that allows you to stand out for the crowd. You know, for me, I talked about this on the episode. I'm going to showcase this on my website at bridal shows, maybe on the cover of the magazine, as a way to really, really stand out from the crowd. So I hope this makes sense. It's an easy product to use. I hope after you watch this video, you're just blown away with how simple it is. Get out there, try it, and I promise you, you're really going to stand out from the crowd. Here is the final image. And you're seeing that play. That's our final exported image. This can also be seen on Flixel, and then of course we'll embed it on the website as well. But really straightforward to create a beautiful image. We brought that image of Taylor to life, and I'm excited to share this and share this with you and use it for my own marketing and promotional material. So I need you guys to get social, get out there. What's your aha moment today? What's that thing that stuck out for you? Hashtag Shutter Network. Go to Facebook, BT Shutter, or Twitter at Sal Sincata, and let me know that aha moment And the winner today is going to get a free copy of Flixel Cinemagraph Pro, and that's the tool we were using here to actually create that. So get out there, good luck, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.